What's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater for the 16th of November 2018. Fantastic Beasts dropped last night to more money than the original. So there are people out there that I've seen today that are like, it's flopping. It's really not flopping. Maybe with critics and some fans, it's flopping because it is all over the damn place in regards to its script, the cinematography, and the editing, all of which I go into better detail on in my review, which is on 3 Buck Reviews, which you can find a link for that in the video description, as well as another video about why J.K. Rowling needs to be neutered at Warner Brothers in order to keep the series from tanking. That's a whole thing, but we'll jump into that. Today's been an insanely huge day. Tons of news has dropped, and I literally cannot get to it all. So unfortunately, stuff that's gone on, I'm gonna have to pick it up again maybe tomorrow or on Monday, because there's just a lot. So first things first, we had a death today in Hollywood. Stan Lee died earlier this week, which was devastating, but William Goldman died today at the age of 87. He was the writer of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He wrote Heat. He wrote The Princess Bride, both the book and the screenplay. This dude was legendary in his own right, and Hollywood lost another icon. Not one as prolific as Stan Lee, not one as completely beloved as Stan Lee in the wider market, like in the pop culture sphere in the audience, but in the industry, William Goldman was a legend, right? William Goldman is going to go down as one of the most revered men in Hollywood in regards to his ability to write a screenplay, and he died peacefully this morning, surrounded by friends and family in Manhattan. And so to them, I issue my deepest sympathies. It's a kind of a bummer that he's not gonna be able to go see Once Upon a Deadpool. That's going to kind of poke fun a bit at The Princess Bride with Fred Savage and everything. But I think we, as just film lovers, are a little bit lesser now as a result of him not being around, which is just insanely unfortunate. But I did want to quickly touch upon that now. Here's the thing. You might be looking at the first things first here, where we see Adi Shankar is on the thumbnail today, and this is what popped up. This is what he'd been teasing for like a couple weeks now, right? Like I did talk about that a bit on a video a few weeks ago where we were speculating about whether or not he would be working on a Legend of Zelda TV series for Netflix. He had put out this cryptic tweet. We know that Netflix teamed up with Nintendo in order to do a Legend of Zelda show, but we weren't sure. We just weren't sure what it was. Today at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is why this podcast is getting out later than it should, because I wanted to catch the story as it broke. This is what he posted on Instagram, a picture of him dressed as Dante, and it just says open for business, and you see Devil May Cry in reverse in the image, showing us that, well, it's a reflection. So he's doing something with it. All I can say at this point is this is all we know. But rampant speculation has already begun online, which would tell me essentially that it's a Devil May Cry animated series that's going to be coming from Netflix. It just seems to make sense coming off of working with, Capcom and them for with Castlevania, and both of those have been, the 2 seasons of Castlevania have been highly revered. I think did they greenlight season 3? I forget, but they clearly are going to be working on it now. And this is something that they're going to be also working on. So I wouldn't be surprised if down the road we not only get this, but we get more Mega Man or more Capcom related content coming from Adi Shankar. Maybe a Dead Rising animated series. That would be interesting. Better than the 2 movies that are on Sony Crackle, but this is all we know for now, and as soon as more details emerge, I will drop those to you guys when I get them. Now, this also just popped up today. Again, as I was collecting information for the day, I was really surprised this was happening. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. renewed for season 7 by ABC. All we know at this point is that it's been renewed, and it's renewed 7 months or so before the next season, before season 6, right? A very truncated, chopped down to like 10 to 13 episodes, season 6. And this is interesting. This is very interesting because I think it's finally going to do what we've wanted it to do for so long, which is 100% fall in line with the movies, right? After this phase wraps up, right? Because by the time this show comes back, Captain Marvel and Avengers 4 and even Spider-Man Far From Home are going to all be coming out. right? I think season 6 premieres before Spider-Man does, but the other two movies absolutely, which means that there's a lot of material there that they're going to be able to play with in regards to the show. And apparently ABC is clearly dedicated to keeping this thing going. I don't quite know why. We have learned that due to just general data, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually more popular in some respects than the Marvel series. Never mind the fact that, there's 100 million people who watch Netflix every single month. And I don't think there's that many that watch ABC, but just the demographic breakdown shows that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is more successful in terms of just popularity. So maybe that was what prompted them to do this. Who knows where things are going to go. What storyline they're going to take the cast and crew on, or if they're going to, work for maybe a soft reboot to kind of like work within whatever's going to happen, right? But then there have been some rumors that I've seen online that have suggested that this is going to tie into an alternate. This is going to tie into the aftermath of Thanos, right? This is going to take place after everything gets back to normal at the end of the last movie. Therefore, they don't have to deal with the snap, because they're actually at this point not going to have to deal with it at all, at least on a visual perspective. They can then talk about the snap, and then of course who gets brought back, if they even know about it at all. And there's been rumors about Avengers 4 having a big time leap, which is going to change things. Again, I don't know what's going to happen yet. We should get a trailer here pretty soon, but that's happening, and that should be pretty interesting. Speaking of Marvel stuff, more Marvel stuff. This is a rumor that dropped out today, that apparently Travis Knight is being eyed to direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and this is an interesting choice. This is a really interesting choice, because a lot of people really wanted James Gunn, myself included, but if not him, then Taika Waititi, because he has the same kind of visual flair that could be used to kind of, at least mimic the James Gunn experience that we wanted in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So all I was saying here, essentially, is that for fans of the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, the future of the franchise seems rather uncertain. Ever since James Gunn was fired and Guardians Volume 3 was put on hold indefinitely, fans have been waiting for any kind of update on the film, and it seems that news maybe has come. It was just revealed by the Disney Insider that Marvel Studios is looking at Travis Knight to direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Knight has previously worked on Kubo and the Two Strings and the Bumblebee movie that will release later this year. He was also on the shortlist for The Eternals before Chloe Zhao was announced. Now, the reason why I think this is important is because Travis Knight, his work on Kubo was great. It was a very emotionally nuanced film. And from my understanding, from some of the early reports coming out of Bumblebee, is that it is good. The trailers look good. It looks fun, right? It doesn't take itself too seriously, which is what Michael Bay did in the last couple movies. Actually, all the movies, he took himself too seriously, and I don't think they want that. So this could be basically saying, look, we know Guardians is going to be serious enough, but it's not going to be insanely serious. And so that could be something that they're going to want to really kind of, have a fun movie with a little bit of the seriousness, which is where he could come into play on that one. I haven't seen Bumblebee. Won't see it till next month, so I can't say if it's going to be any good or if he's going to be the right choice. But I think that this is something that probably feels more true rather than not. Marvel needs someone to make it. He is green enough in regards to being a director to where he's got one big budget movie under his belt, and he still could be crafted and molded by someone like Kevin Feige. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen, considering the fact that he owns Leica Studios in Portland, Oregon. By the way, his father, just in case you don't know this, his father is the guy who created Nike. So it's not like this dude came from nowhere. He's always had a lot of money and a lot of effort to put into this kind of stuff, and he's learned his craft really well. He's had the resources. So I really want to see what's going to happen with Bumblebee, but again, early reports look pretty good, and if he does jump over to being in this one, then I think things will be okay. I would be okay with this, is what I'm trying to say. So this one is something that's a little bit different. If this rumor is true, I expect there to be a bit of mutiny with some Pirates of the Caribbean fans as a result of this, right? So the rumor here is that Red is going to replace Jack Sparrow as the lead in the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. Now, Red, if you don't remember, is the new character that they put in Pirates. She was the redhead that was being auctioned off. They said that was sexist and that was, that was demeaning to women. So there was complaints. So they took it, they changed it, and then she's a pirate. And as a result of that, there was a lot of pushback from fans of Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, they saw nothing wrong with that. That was the original ride as it was intended. That's what they liked. They didn't want to see it changed. And now that character might be taking over the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. If the rumor is true, expect a lot of pushback here. Now, it says here, last month it was reported that Disney was looking to reboot their billion-dollar Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, with Deadpool writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who are now in early talks to write the script. We're hearing from multiple sources that Disney is indeed ready to part ways with Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow character that has led the franchise for over the last 5 films. We're also hearing that the studio is looking to center the franchise on Red, the recently revamped character in the popular Disney attraction, who is also a meet and greet character in the park. Now, that meet and greet character in the park is a big deal, because they took her out of the ride, they revamped her, and then they made her a meet and greet character, which means merchandising, which means direct connection with the fans, which means that there is a tangible element there that they can use to market. It's like after Jack Sparrow became a big deal, they put him everywhere in the park because they knew that that was a draw, and it worked. Disney is fantastic at marketing. We all know this, so it's not even an issue there. It says here that it should be noted that the script is not finished and things can certainly change. That being said, Disney is already has multiple female-led blockbusters in the works, such as Captain Marvel hitting theaters next March, the standalone Black Widow, and Maleficent 2. So it would make sense that this would be a fresh take for Disney to make the change for a Pirates franchise that was starting to get tiresome with Depp in the lead. And here's the thing. I agree with that last statement there. I do. I think that Pirates of the Caribbean 4 and 5 were fun, unnecessary, but fun. The last movie was definitely better than the 4th movie, but the franchise kind of feels like it has run its course in regards to Jack Sparrow. That being said, where they left off at the end of Pirates 5, I thought was going to be fascinating, bringing back Will, having him leave the Flying Dutchman, and then Davy Jones comes back for that little end of the, that little end cameo stinger there. That was interesting to me. That was a very interesting way to approach the storyline. This though, like, I don't know. We're talking, the franchise is 15 and a half years old, right? Movie wise, people love Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, and I don't think they're going to respond well to him not being there. Like my stepmom, for example, huge Johnny Depp fan, huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I floated this idea to her and she's like, I'm just not going to go see the movie. Right? My sister was the same way. They just don't want to go see it if it doesn't have Captain Jack. People love Captain Jack. You take him out of the property, it's going to be like, no, I'm good. It's kind of like the Bourne Identity, right? Or they had the Bourne Legacy. Jeremy Renner takes over for Matt Damon, and then 2 years later they bring back, or a couple years later they bring back Jason Bourne for one more movie because fans just didn't really care for the cinematic universe that was the Bourne franchise. This could be the same thing here. Now, that being said, Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese are good writers. They could write a fun, punchy adventure story, and if the character is good, I'm all for it. That's all I care about when it comes to these movies. But what we're talking about here is a massive shift in a 15-year-old franchise. People are not going to take it necessarily lying down, and they're not necessarily going to go to the theaters in droves to go see it. Focusing on having it be female-led, this day and age does seem like the right move. We are seeing more female-led films actually like doing very well. They're not, there was always that saying that, oh, female-led movies never do well, but here now we're seeing it. I would disagree with that to an extent, but we are definitely seeing that now. And as a result of that, they're going to want to strike while the iron is hot. And if they want to do it, that's cool. Again, all I ask is that they just give us a decent storyline, a decent character, and a fun adventure film. And the rest will follow, I think. If those elements are done well, the rest will follow. But there is going to be a lot of pushback from Captain Jack fans that are not going to go see the movie because he's not in it. To them, he is the franchise. You lose him, you lose them. So they've got to find a way to kind of tie them together. And listen, after Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, Johnny Depp did an amazing job in that movie, right? So he can act well if they get him cleaned up and off the sauce a little bit, which apparently he's been doing, I guess. But with that newfound fame, that newfound kind of oomph from fans, they're going to demand it. And if Disney doesn't deliver, then this franchise, again, will just be dead in the water, and that's their own damn fault. So finally today, this is an interesting story. One that I find to be very fascinating given where Paramount has been. Now, they've signed a multi-picture film deal with Netflix, saying here that studio boss Jim Giannopoulos revealed the news today during Viacom's earnings call with Wall Street analysts. This undertaking opens a lot of doors on the options of what these two titans of industry can do together. Both have shown that they are powerhouses on their own, but linked together, the possibilities are pretty much endless. Giannopoulos basically says this: our priority is to expand our role as a major global content supplier. Keep that in mind there. As such, we are exploring various new revenue streams in addition to our traditional theatrical releases as a producer of first-run films and television for other media platforms. Now, what that means to me is they realize that they have lost their control they've lost their footing in regards to the theatrical market, but they have a shot still at home video. They do. When's the last time Paramount put out a movie you were like, I gotta go see this, right? When was the last time Paramount had a real big win? They're banking on Bumblebee to be a big movie, and I think it will, but it's going up against Into the Spider-Verse, Aquaman, Mary Poppins. I mean, December is a loaded month, so they may lose out. Now, it says the two companies have collaborated before. In the world of television, Paramount has given Netflix such hit series as Cary Fukunaga's Maniac, as well as 13 Reasons Why. But they've also worked together on the film front with the Cloverfield Paradox. The film was a few months away from theatrical run, but it ultimately premiered on Netflix after the Super Bowl. This surprise was an interesting move, and it seems to have paid off for all parties involved. Well, it did. I mean, technically, I think they spent $50 million on the budget of the movie, and Netflix paid them $40 million for it, so they lost $10 million, but they could write that off. At the same time, fans got to see Cloverfield Paradox that night. They knew the movie was not going to do well with critics, which it didn't do well with critics, but fans seemed to enjoy it. And it wasn't just Cloverfield Paradox. It was also Annihilation, the movie that was it Annihilation? I might be wrong, but it was the Alex Garland film. I think it was Annihilation that they had the same deal with, where theatrically, domestically it premiered, but then internationally it was on Netflix the day it came out, right? Day and date release internationally on Netflix. And the movie did okay here, right? Not the best, but okay, I guess. And then overseas people were watching it. All right. I mean, the day it came out, the 1080p rip was already on pirate sites. So it's kind of like that was their tester. And that's what I think they're doing here is they want to release films internationally on Netflix, because I think they realize there's going to be more money to be made there, whereas domestically they want to release their films here. I think that's the deal they're going into. Day and date release in this particular fashion seems to make a lot of sense, and Paramount has been down on their luck for a while as it is. Now, Giannopoulos does say here that we've had a long relationship with Netflix. On the licensing side, we've known the senior management team for many years. This represents an incremental revenue stream that we're excited about. We have more capacity for great production than the theatrical system can accommodate. While theatrical remains our core business, we're happy to work with the likes of Netflix, Amazon, and others as partners and new customers. Meaning, I think they also see the changing in the tides, right? So while there are people out there, and I read an article this morning, I saw a headline this morning that said, like, 2018 is going to be a banner year for box office returns, which is true, but that will really only boil down to a couple different movies and like 2, maybe 3 studios. Paramount is not one of them, meaning that they understand that while theatrical runs are their core business, that's not where things are now. Where things are now is going to be streaming, and they want to hitch their wagon to Netflix, which has 100 million active users worldwide. They're looking to branch out into Bollywood content. They just opened a $1 billion production studio, or they just bought a $1 billion production studio in New Mexico. So Paramount is looking at Netflix as kind of leading the way to greener pastures through television-based content that Netflix will pay for. Right, because the aforementioned 13 Reasons Why, and the other show. So with Maniac and whatnot. So there's clearly a reason to link up with them on that front, and I think that's going to be Paramount's plan. You've got CBS All Access, right, which again is just a vertical company to Paramount because they all run through Viacom, and that stuff won't go to Netflix. Well, maybe it will, because Star Trek Discovery is on Netflix in other countries. It's a weird thing that no one's really been able to figure out what it means just yet. And I think my particular take on it is that they are going to make their move with Netflix before everyone else starts picking a streaming service, right? Disney's launching its streaming service. We know that probably, and then they're going to own 2/3 they're going to own a controlling stake in Hulu. And so I'm pretty certain that like other companies, Warner Brothers and maybe Lionsgate, maybe Universal, are going to probably want to team up with them or find a way to launch their own. I mean, Warner's has DC Universe now. So there's a lot of services that are going to come out. We're going to see a lot of streaming things shifting. And I think Paramount's jumping to Netflix because they look at it as being a surefire bet. And maybe they'll be right this time. They backed HD DVD over 10 years ago, and that failed. So maybe this time they think maybe we'll do Netflix first, and we'll be the first ones out of the gate and get a little bit of success. Here's the thing, Paramount: you want success, make better movies. That's what you got to do, right? Make better movies. Have your budgets under control. You shouldn't got rid of Paramount. Was it Paramount Vintage or Paramount Vantage? Whatever their low budget. Their micro budget film division was. They got rid of that. Those put out some pretty good films like Black Snake Moan, that could have gone on to make a lot of money. That's what you should be exploring, is low budget films that can have an impact that you can put out there. And if you lose money on all of them except for one, then you're still fine. But the fact that you don't do that shows you that you need Netflix to cover the cost, because you've lost a lot of money otherwise. So that actually wraps up today's episode of the show. I rushed through a lot of it, I guarantee, I admit, but there's a lot there to kind of take in. And so I really appreciate you guys paying attention. I really appreciate you guys listening all week long. We've been trying it. People have been listening. I'm really, really happy about that. So please leave your comments below or hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you think. I will talk to you guys later. I'll see you on Monday. Have yourself a great weekend, and peace out.